right, welcome back to another After Dark, everyone. Hope you all are having a good night so far. Hope you guys had a wonderful day. So, a lot of times I'm reacting to a video because you guys suggested it. This time, this one's for me. This is a video from Nonstop. Is it from Nonstop? Yeah, it's from Nonstop, my bad. And this one is titled The Top 10 Asian Players in NBA History. If you don't know why I want to watch this, then it is what it is. But I actually am very curious about this because I only know of maybe 3 or 4 Asians that have been in the NBA, and I think at this point we have like 2. But I'm not. It's rare, and honestly, when it does happen, usually the player doesn't stick around long. Jeremy Lin was kind of an outlier in that one. Yao Ming was kind of an outlier, but other than that, like a lot of Asians don't last long in the NBA for one reason or another. So I'm very curious to see the history of it. So anyways, no need for a long explanation. I'm ready to learn. I'm here to learn, folks. So let's do this. Guys, I'm going to link the original video down below in the description for you, like I always do. There you'll see a list of channel members. Shout out channel members. I appreciate you guys. And for anybody who's going to stick around and watch this video with me, I appreciate you. Like the vid if you could, I'd appreciate it. And let's do this, huh?
Out of the 6 most populated continents, Asia has produced the fewest NBA players. Despite a population of nearly 5 billion people, only 29 Asian players have ever suited up in an NBA game.
29.
Including US-born players with an Asian descent. If we exclude players from Turkey, Israel, and Georgia who are geographically in Asia, but they compete in Eurobasket, these are the top 10 best Asian players in NBA history.
Good call on that one.
You might think that the first Asian players came to the NBA during the 90s or early 2000s, but you'd be wrong. In fact, the first Asian player got drafted before Earl Lloyd, Chuck Cooper, and Nat Clifton, the first 3 black NBA players who entered the league in 1950.
Get out of here.
Wataru Misaka came to the NBA in 1947.
Japanese,
5'7" point guard, born in Utah, to a Japanese family that migrated to the US in the 1920s. Misaka played collegiate basketball at Weber College, the alma mater of Damian Lillard. And in the early 1940s, Watt led Weber to 2 championships. He then enrolled in the University of Utah, where he won the 1944 NCAA tournament.
1944, I was not expecting it to go back this far. That's crazy.
And in 1947, he won the National Invitational Tournament with the Utes, after which the New York Knicks drafted him with the 61st pick in the BAA draft.
I mean, it's so crazy. It looks like AI right now, but that's so cool. I had no idea.
As the league wasn't yet called the NBA. Thus, Misaka became the first non-Caucasian to play in the NBA. But his run in the league was short-lived.
First non-Caucasian to play in the NBA was an Asian guy, a Japanese man. Wow.
Taru was cut after scoring 7 points in 3 games. And never received a full explanation as to why.
Well, you see, that's the problem. I think a lot... Oh. Man, why do you got to pause it on that?
Might point to his race.
I don't want to look at that shit. What the hell? It made me lose my train of thought. That's what I expect to be an ongoing theme on here. Is like you made it to the NBA, you played for like a 10-day contract, and then you were gone for whatever reason. But let's see how accurate that is.
Misaka was often booed throughout his career due to anti-Japanese sentiment in the World War II era. However, Misaka himself thought it was for basketball reasons. The Knicks had too many guards on the roster, and coming in at 5'7" and 150 pounds, Misaka wasn't exactly a physical specimen full of long-term potential. And even though his career was cut short, and there were far better players, due to historical reasons, Misaka's name had to be mentioned.
That's cool.
Non-white player in the NBA. Mr. Misaka's here.
After Misaka, it took more than 30 years for another Asian player to be drafted, and that player was Raymond Townsend, the 22nd pick in the 1978 NBA draft. Townsend was half American, half Filipino, becoming the first Asian player to win the NCAA championship in 1975 with UCLA. However, the 6' 3-point guard played only 3 seasons in the NBA, appearing in just 154 games. And that's
3 seasons better than most.
Why the number 9 spot on our list doesn't belong to him, but to another biracial player who came after him, becoming only the 4th Asian player in the NBA. It was Rex Walters, who's half white, half Japanese, and was selected 16th overall in the 1993 NBA draft. I consider myself Japanese American. I just don't look it. People are always surprised.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah.
We got a guy like Jeremy Lin breaking barriers, and I'd like to think I played a small part in that. Walters made a bigger mark.
Yeah, you don't. Okay, I can kind of see it. I can kind of see a little bit of the Japanese bone structure in his face. Okay, I didn't at first.
In the NBA than his predecessors, staying in the league for 7 years.
7 years,
Standing at 6'4", Walters mainly came off the bench, averaging 4.6 points in 13 minutes of playing time. But this next player broke the stereotype of Asians being small, and him getting drafted was historic. In 1999, the 7-foot center Wang Zhizhi became the first Chinese player drafted to the NBA, selected 36th overall by the Mavericks. And before he came to America, Wang was the Shaquille O'Neal of the Chinese Basketball Association. Playing for the Beijing Rockets, Wang dominated the CBA, winning 6 consecutive championships from 96 to 2001.
Dang, I didn't know it was that bad.
Including the MVP title, the Finals MVP, and leading the league in blocks 4 times. Wang arrived in Dallas after winning his last CBA championship title, when there were fewer than 10 games left in the 2000-2001 season. 2 days after Dallas was eliminated from the playoffs, Wang hurried back to China to play in the 2001 East Asian Games, according to an agreement between the Chinese authorities and the Dallas Mavericks. When he returned,
he'll stay in shape like that.
Wang helped the Rockets defeat Yao Ming's Shanghai Sharks by 1 point in the final, after which he came to the NBA for good. In 2002, his first full season, Zhizhi didn't really play much. But when he was on the court, he was solid, averaging 5.6 points and 2 rebounds in just 11 minutes of play. However, what was extraordinary for a player of his size is that he shot 41% for 3, a better percentage than Dirk Nowitzki. If he played in the modern era, Wang's shooting prowess would probably get him significant playing time.
Yeah, so he was 10 years ahead of his time.
But in the early 2000s, shooting big men were considered odd, as most coaches wanted their centers to battle in the post. And that's why Wang's career in the NBA didn't last too long. After a promising start in Dallas, he spent the next 3 seasons playing for the Clippers and the Heat, appearing in just 77 games and averaging 8 minutes per contest. Zhizhi then
That's funny, so he'd fit in the modern league.
Returned to the CBA, where he won another championship and Finals MVP, proving that his talent wasn't properly recognized in the U.S. And just like Wang, the Japanese 6'9" forward Yuta Watanabe made basketball history. Born in Japan in 1994, Watanabe became the first Japanese-born student athlete to secure an NCAA Division I basketball scholarship. Playing for George Washington University as a power forward, Watanabe struggled at first, but as time went on, he came into his own. As a senior, Yuta was George Washington's leading scorer at 16.3 points per game, and second leading rebounder with 6.1 per game.
Nice.
Also leading the team in blocks. He was named the Atlantic 10 Defensive Player of the Year, becoming the first George Washington player to win the award. Then, after going undrafted in the 2018 NBA draft, Watanabe signed a 2-way contract with the Memphis Grizzlies. But he barely played for Memphis, appearing in just 33 games in his first 2 seasons, before signing a contract with the Raptors. In his first season in Canada, Watanabe appeared in 50 games, averaging 4.4 points in 15 minutes. However, just like Wang, the Japanese forward was an excellent 3-point shooter, making 40% of his shots from deep. He last played for the Grizzlies in 2024, after which he decided to return home to Japan due to his lack of playing time in the NBA. But even though his NBA career didn't really pan out, he still played for 6 years in the league, which is above average, mainly because he was a very good defender and rarely made mistakes. But even though he wasn't,
no matter what, he gets to say, I was an NBA player for 6 years.
That great defensively, this next player was supposed to be the Asian Dirk Nowitzki. Yi Jianlian was a dominant center in the CBA, winning the MVP award and 3 championships between 2004 and 2006. Standing at 7 feet with a soft touch, Yi averaged 25 points and 11 rebounds per game, playing for the
It's ironic to me that most of these Asian guys are being picked because of their height and their size, while Asian people are notorious for not being tall. So like it kind of bogs my mind, because wouldn't we be looking for like their best guards to come over here as opposed to their best big men? Because we already have a lot of good big men here. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I would think their guard play would be more valuable than their big man play here in the United States in the NBA. I don't know.
Shandong Tigers in 2007 while shooting over 58% from the field and 82% from the free throw line. Yi was selected 6th overall by the Bucks in the 2007 NBA draft, ahead of Joakim Noah,
Yep.
Marc Gasol, Nick Young, and several other high-profile players. The Bucks thought Jian Lian was going to be something between Dirk and Yao.
Yeah.
But it didn't really work out.
I know. We tried to make a big rivalry between him and Yao as well.
As a rookie, he averaged 8.6 points and 5.2 rebounds in 25 minutes on the court, which wasn't too bad. But unlike the guys he was supposed to mimic, he didn't have a strong work ethic or a humble mindset. He seemed to be more concerned about playing in a city with a large Asian community than actually getting on the court.
Really?
And demanded a trade despite the Bucks guaranteeing him a place in the rotation and more playing time. But he didn't want to be in Milwaukee. So the Bucks traded him to the Nets after his rookie season. Jian Lian spent 2 years in New Jersey, and his second year there, he averaged 12 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 block per game, while making 37% from 3 and 80% from the free throw line.
Okay.
When he first played against Yao Ming, he scored 19 points and grabbed 9 rebounds, including 2 3-pointers, while Yao recorded 28 points and 9 rebounds. That game between the two was watched by over 200 million people in China, making it one of the most watched games in NBA history. After the game, Yao
that game is a classic.
called E's talent unbelievable, and Tracy McGrady said E had a tremendous upside in this league. However, due to injuries, a poor work ethic, and an unwillingness to adapt to the NBA lifestyle, he was out of the league after 5 seasons, averaging 8 points and 5 rebounds in 272 games. But nearly 20
And
years...
that's sad too. That 8 pound, that final stat line. Like if he would have played healthy longer and got more minutes, he actually would have been a pretty decent player in the NBA.
Before Yi Jianlian was drafted, another Asian-born player became a lottery pick. It was Rony Seikaly, a Lebanese-born...
What? No way Rony Seikaly is... What? I never would have guessed Rony Seikaly was Asian.
Player who became one of the first players drafted from outside the U.S. Born in Beirut, Seikaly spent his youth in Lebanon and Greece before moving to the States in 1983, where he attended Syracuse University. As a junior, the 6'11" center led the Orange to the NCAA Finals, averaging 22 points and 11 rebounds per game. But the Indiana Hoosiers defeated them in the championship game. Seikaly graduated from Syracuse as the school's all-time leading rebounder, second in block shots and 4th in scoring. At the time, he was only the second player ever to record 1,000 points and rebounds during his tenure at Syracuse. Drafted 9th overall by the Miami Heat, Seikaly hit the ground running, winning the award for the most improved player in his second season. In a career that lasted 11 years, the Lebanese center averaged 14.7 points and 9.5 rebounds per game. And at the time of his retirement, he was the best Asian player ever in the NBA.
Dude, I didn't know he was Asian at all. He looks European.
But
to me at least,
there was a title for the best Asian.
And I knew Rony Seikaly, you know, from watching that era of basketball. Like we all knew Rony Seikaly. No one was really a big fan of Rony Seikaly, but he was there. He was good. He did his job, but I had no idea he had any Asian descent whatsoever. Totally thought he was European.
6th man of all time, it would go to Jordan Clarkson. Clarkson is half black, half Filipino from his mother's side.
Oh, Tiger Woods.
Even though he was born and raised in the U.S., Jordan holds Filipino citizenship and has represented the Philippines national team. Drafted in 2014 as the 46th overall pick, Jordan quickly showed his knack for scoring, averaging 12 points per game as a rookie. In 2018, while playing for the Utah Jazz, Clarkson won the 6th Man of the Year award, averaging 18.4 points per game. Between 2020 and 2022, he played in 24 playoff games for the Jazz, averaging 17 points off the bench in just 28 minutes on the court, which further established his reputation as a microwave scorer. From 2018, Clarkson represented the Philippines on the international scene, most notably playing for them in the 2023 World Cup, where he averaged 26 points per game.
Wow.
And just like Clarkson, there's another current NBA player who is half Asian from his mother's side.
By the way, that's cool. I didn't know Clarkson was half Asian.
Rui Hachimura is half Japanese.
Rui, I did just because the last name.
Half Beninese, and was born and raised in Japan. After dominating the high school competition, in 2016, Rui signed a letter of intent to join Gonzaga University. With the Bulldogs, he didn't play much initially, but by his junior season, he had become one of the best players in the NCAA.
Yeah, I like Rui.
Hachimura averaged 19.7 points and 6.5 rebounds per game, while making 59% of his shots, including 42% from 3, which earned him the Conference Player of the Year award. In 2019, Hachimura announced that he would forego his final year of eligibility and declared for the 2019 NBA Draft, where he was drafted 9th overall by the Washington Wizards. Rui thus became the first Japanese player to get drafted in the first round, and he justified this selection by scoring 13.5 points per game as a rookie. So far, in
First Japanese player. Okay, yeah.
In his 6-year career, Hachimura has proven to be one of the most efficient scorers in the league, especially in the playoffs. His 62% effective field goal percentage currently ranks 4th all-time, despite limited playoff experience of only 31 games. But due to his shooting prowess, a sturdy 6'8" frame, and the mentorship from LeBron, Hachimura could have the longest career out of all Asian players. Unless, of course, young Hansen becomes the Chinese version of Nikola Jokic. But even if Rui or Hansen somehow became the league MVP, they would hardly reach the popularity that a certain Asian player enjoyed in 2012.
Yeah, this put the whole continent on alert.
Of course, we're talking about Jeremy Lin,
Lin,
who's mostly known for the Linsanity and those magical few months when he played for the Knicks. Fighting even to stay on the roster, not getting recognized by security, and sleeping on his brother's couch, Lin finally got an opportunity on February 4th, 2012. After several Knicks guards were injured, Lin got a chance to show what he's got against the New Jersey Nets and their all-star point guard, Deron Williams. Playing like a man possessed, Lin finished with 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists, all career highs.
I mean, he was possessed. This was going to be his final game. He was about to go back into no man's land.
99-92 Knicks win.
He had to perform.
Over the next 2 weeks, Jeremy averaged 24 points and 9 assists per game, leading New York to 7 consecutive victories and transforming from a virtual nobody to a global sensation. Lin had the second highest jersey sales in the NBA that season, which is amazing considering he only played 35 games then.
Yep.
And even though the rest of his career didn't quite compete with the hype of Linsanity, Jeremy still had a solid 9-year career, averaging 11.6 points and 4.3 assists per game, and winning an NBA championship with the Raptors in 2019. But even though Clarkson and Hachimura are arguably better players than Lin, the 6'3" guard from Taiwan transcended basketball.
Absolutely.
And had a far bigger cultural impact.
Yeah.
Because of his size and rags to riches basketball story that's almost like a fairy tale, Lin broke down racial barriers that kept Asian players from competing in the NBA and popularized basketball in Asia like no other player, apart from...
Dude, I loved it. Linsanity was so great. It was basically like the NBA's version of Tebow time. You know, if you guys remember Tim Tebow and the fiasco that was around him. Dude, yeah. Late game comebacks, final drives, Tim Tebow time for a season was off the charts. And we had a basketball version of that with Linsanity. It's just neither of these two things lasted too long, but they were amazing while they were here. And I don't think anybody will ever forget the names Jeremy Lin and Tim Tebow, just because of how epic of a time it was. All right, now the big dog. If it wasn't for bad feet, bad legs, man.
One very tall guy, the only Asian player
Yao.
more popular than Lin, and the synonym for Asian basketball worldwide is the Hall of Fame center Yao Ming. The Great Wall of China was unlike anything seen before in the NBA. Standing at 7'6", Yao is one of the 4 tallest players in NBA history.
I mean, he's so big, like there's a lot of rumors and speculation about like the Chinese government basically like engineering him from a child. And it's crazy. And I believe it was his mother and father were both basketball players. So like the mother was actually incredibly tall for a Chinese woman. Like all these things. It seems like I don't know. It's conspiracy stuff, but who knows, man? A 7'6" Chinese guy, full blood, that doesn't happen. So I wouldn't be too surprised if this guy was bioengineered.
He could play like a guard with a feathery touch around the basket, a silky smooth jumper, and some fancy behind the back moves. Yao was an anomaly. An 8-time All-Star and 5-time All-NBA member, Yao was one of the best players in the world in his prime and one of the hardest to guard.
He was.
The Chinese giant averaged 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists per game in his career. But those numbers don't do his talent justice. If it wasn't for all those
I was going to say half the time he was playing injured.
Injuries to his feet and knees, Yao could have been the MVP and one of the greatest centers ever. But unfortunately, injuries forced him to retire at the age of 30.
Yeah.
But even in just 8 seasons, Yao did more than enough to become a legend. And he's the best Asian player of all time.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
I mean, great video. He kind of ended up being like the basketball ambassador between the United States and China. So he did something. But boy, I'll tell you, when he came in, and I saw just how good he was. Like when he was going head to head against Shaq, blocking Shaq's shots left and right, dunking on his head, I was like, okay, we finally got someone. You know, like we got a Chinese guy who can actually keep up with the best of the best. Like this is gonna be great. And he was getting better and better. He had that like Hakeem Olajuwon / Patrick Ewing turnaround jump shot, like working to perfection. Man, he was getting so good. And he was teamed up with my boy T-Mac. And I had so much hope that they were the ones who, you know, like they were the new competition for the freaking Lakers. And that's the way I saw it. That's the way I wanted it to go down, but it sure didn't go down that way. Injuries for T-Mac, injuries for Yao Ming, and they never really recuperated, unfortunately. And Yao Ming never got to see his prime because of it. I think we got to see probably T-Mac's prime back in Orlando, but Yao Ming, we never quite got to see it. His legs just did not hold up. But man, he had it all. He really did. Anyways, really fun video for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it might not be the most interesting topic for most of you, but for me, this was like really interesting to see. And I'll never forget now, Rony Seikaly is considered an Asian basketball player. My mind is still blown over that one. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Enjoy the rest of your night. Be safe out there. Be good to your people. Tell your loved ones you love them, all that good stuff. Like the vid on the way out if you could. Hit that subscribe button. And most importantly, is to be water, my friends.